Welcome to another episode, everyone. These three defendants here are being sentenced for the death, as you see here, on charges connected with the death of Alicia Pointer, 2021. I believe she was from Cleveland, Ohio. They tortured, allegedly, kidnapped, tortured, and killed her. And the judge is about to let them have it. Let's get into it.
This court is first going to, as indicated earlier, impose sentence with regards to Destiny Henderson. The court finds that a prison sentence is consistent with the purpose of Revised Code Section 2929.11. The court imposes a sentence at ORW of 10 to 15 years on the underlying offense of involuntary manslaughter, plus the 3 years on the 3-year firearm specification on count 5, again, involuntary manslaughter. Count 5, as indicated earlier by this court, is the qualifying offense. That is why count 5 has a minimum term and a maximum term. Moving on to count 10. The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW of 6 years on the underlying offense. Strike that. Moving back to count 5, the court imposes a prison sentence on the underlying offense of 10 to 15 years, plus the 3-year firearm specification that shall be served prior to and consecutive to the underlying offense of involuntary manslaughter, again, the 10 to 15. Moving on to count 10, kidnapping. The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW of 6 years on the underlying offense, plus the 3-year firearm specification, again, which must be served prior to and consecutive to the underlying sentence of 6 years. As to count 14, conspiracy.
He looks a little shocked, the defendant here. I believe that he thought that this was going to all be ran concurrent. You may have 10 charges, 10 robberies, and they give you 10 years for each one, but they run it concurrent, meaning you only got 10 years. But if they run it consecutive, then you got to do the terms consecutively. You got to do 10 years, then you got to do another 10 years, and you got to do another 10 years till it's all completed. And he's looking shocked, a little bit outraged, as if he thought, he's surprised at this sentence. It's involuntary manslaughter, but I believe the charges are a little deeper, or the situation was a little deeper than what the charges ended up being, which was manslaughter. As I said, it appears as if, or at least they were accused of kidnapping her, torturing her, and then killing her. But somehow they ended up with a manslaughter charge. But it looks like still he thought, not that maybe he will walk away scot-free, but it doesn't look like he thought he was going to get all of this time. He looks a little perplexed, a little confused.
The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW of 4 years. The court finds that the consecutive service is necessary to protect the public from future crime or to punish the offender, and that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and to the danger the offender poses to the public, and pursuant to 2929.14C4B, at least 2 of the multiple offenses were committed as part of one or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by 2 or more of the multiple offenses so committed was so great or unusual that no single prison term for any of the offenses committed as part of any of the courses of conduct adequately reflects the seriousness of the offender's conduct. Specifically, the court finds, as it relates to Destiny, the involvement of Destiny, as indicated earlier, this court listened to the testimony throughout 3 trials. Destiny pointed a gun at Turquoise, participated in the kidnapping of Alicia, participated in the torture and ultimately left Miss Pointer in an abandoned home amongst trash and debris. For this reason, the court finds that consecutive sentences are necessary pursuant to 2929.14 C4B. One moment, please. So this will.
Because you can see, he like, what the hell is this? How am I getting all of this time? How am I getting all of these years? And the judge is trying to explain why she's running these sentences consecutively, saying that it fits the criteria based on the law to run these sentences, not concurrent again, but consecutive. Meaning he has to do all of it. Everything. There's 4 years, there's 18 years, 15 years, there's 3 years. He has to do the 15, then the 3, then the 4, and everything else she's tacking on. Whereas if it was consecutive, he just had to do the bigger sentence, and then that's it. Again, he looks like he's a little bit perplexed. I don't see why, necessarily just listening to what I'm listening to, that the judge said, that according to the 3 trials that she witnessed, the judge, that this is the individual, Destiny, that stuck a gun in Turquoise's face, she said. So someone else, more than one victim involved here, stuck a gun in someone's face and then kidnapped or whatever Alicia Pointer and tortured her. Again, somehow they end up with manslaughter charges. But the judge has said that the lady was, I don't know if she is a young lady or what, Alicia Pointer, but that she was tortured, kidnapped, tortured, and eventually killed and left in some abandoned building or whatever she just said, amongst trash. Dang, somebody end up with manslaughter charges, torture, kidnap, killing. So I don't know. I don't know why he's so shocked at the time. He's still not getting that much time for those sort of charges, I'm saying.
The total sentence after the consecutive sentences for a total minimum sentence of 25 to 30 years. Moving on to Mr. Pope.
25 years. And look at him. Look at Mr. Pope. He's scared to death. Look how he looking. Whoa, he like, hell no. He just got a quota. He just got 25. I'm cooked. The judge just let him have it. No, well, if you want to call it letting him have it, based on the charges, it's letting them have it, because a manslaughter, people end up with 5 and 6 years for a manslaughter. So based on what they were charged with, she just let them have it. Gave him 25 years for a manslaughter, even though those other charges, a weapon or whatever, but still. Now, if they were charged with kidnapping, torture, and murder, then obviously that wouldn't be a lot of time, 25 years for those charges. It looks like that's what happened, according to what the judge has read off. But for whatever reason, again, that's not what they were charged with. They are all charged, all 3 defendants here are charged with manslaughter after what looks like a kidnap, torture, killing. Maybe I'm missing something, but let's see how they ended up charged with a manslaughter, and let's see how much time this individual here ends up with. First guy got 25 years.
Mr. Polk entered a plea of guilty to involuntary manslaughter, count 5. The court finds that prison is consistent with the purpose of revised code section 2929.11. The court imposes a prison sentence at LCI of 10 to 15 years plus 3-year firearm specification as to count 5, involuntary manslaughter. Again, this is the qualifying offense as it relates to Reagan Tokes. Therefore, we have the minimum and maximum term. Count 10, the court imposes a prison sentence at the Lorraine Correctional Institution of 6 years plus the 3-year firearm specification. And the 3-year firearm specification, both in count 5 and count 10, must be served prior to and consecutively to each of the underlying offenses, count 10 and count 5, and also must be served consecutively to each other. So the court imposes a sentence at LCI of 6 plus the 3 years for the firearm specification as to count 10, kidnapping. Count 15, conspiracy in violation of 2923.01A2, the court imposes a prison sentence at LCI of 2 years. The court again finds that consecutive service is necessary to protect the public from future crime or to punish the offender, and that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and to the danger the offender possesses to the public. And the court finds, again, pursuant to the same code section 2929.14C4B, that at least 2 of the multiple offenses were committed as part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by 2 or more of the multiple offenses so committed was so great or unusual that no single prison term for any of the offenses committed as part of any of the courses of conduct adequately reflects the seriousness of the offender's conduct. I can't emphasize how tragic these facts were in listening to them, and this case started with the actions of Nathaniel Pope. And Nathaniel Pope was involved with the kidnapping of Turquoise of Miss Harris, which led to the kidnapping of Miss Pointer, who was tortured and brutalized for days and left in a basement amongst trash. For that reason, the court finds that consecutive sentences are appropriate in this matter. Count 5.
She's not having any mercy, this judge right here. I'm not going to say she was emotional right there, but she was stern in reciting what happened, recounting what happened during this case. Of course, as she just made mention of, she witnessed the 3 trials connected with this case with these defendants, so she knows everything that happened in this case. She heard the police testify. Of course, she's read the case. She's a judge on the case. So she's heard witnesses, victims, and everything else. So it seems like it was a couple people that were involved or victims, or more than 3, or 3 at least. Turquoise, someone else, and then Miss Pointer, Alicia Pointer, who was tortured, as she just said, for days and left in a basement amongst trash to die after being tortured for days. And then she did die. Again, how they're charged with manslaughter after all of this. Damn, I need their lawyer. Yeah, kidnappings, torture, murder, pointed a gun at someone else, Turquoise, and this other person. All kind of charges. Somebody ended up with manslaughter, but let's see how much he ends up with total. But the judge is not giving no mercy right here. She doesn't. I mean, you may say, well, this is mercy, like I said, because it's 20 years, 25 years for their charge. But this is what they're charged with. What they're charged with, she can only give them so much time. You can't get life. I don't believe for a manslaughter. I guess maybe you can, but as I said, for the most part, you get 5, 6 years, 10 years for a manslaughter. So if they were charged with kidnapping, torture, murder, then yeah, 25 years is like, yeah, she taking it easy on them. But with the charges that they got, for whatever reason, this is what they were charged with. The prosecution charges you with the crime, and the prosecution charges them with manslaughter instead of torture, kidnap, and murder. I don't know why. He knows the case better than me, the prosecutor, for whatever reason. Maybe he felt like he couldn't get a conviction for that, or there were mitigating circumstances to where he decided not to charge him that heavily. But she's not being too rough for the charges that they have of manslaughter. Well, I mean, rather, she is being rough for these charges for manslaughter, but not for what actually happened. But they were charged with a manslaughter. But the judge looked like she's relentless. She's unwavering. She's running all of this shit consecutive, as she keeps saying that running it consecutively is not disproportionate based on the circumstances of the case.
10 and 15 shall run consecutive to each other. Moving on to Ms. Williams. The court finds that prison is consistent with the purpose of revised code section 2929.11. The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW, a life sentence without being eligible for parole until serving 20 years plus the 3-year firearm specification for a total sentence of 23 years to life. As to count 10, which is the qualifying offense as it relates to Reagan Topes, the court sentences the defendant to 6 to 9 years. As it relates to count 10, kidnapping. As it relates to count 13, the court sentences the defendant to 6 years. All counts to run concurrently. Strike that. Counts 10 and 13 shall run concurrently to count 1. All counts run concurrently. For a total sentence of 23 years to life. Just one moment, please.
3 years of life. She got smoked. First, she said, life without parole.
At this time, the court is going to advise the defendants of their appellate rights.
Damn, their appellate rights. It's all bad. So she must have. I don't want to get to assuming things, but I'm going to anyway. I have to. I mean, I'm assuming that she, Miss Williams here, had a bigger role in this crime than the other two, I guess. I mean, he's only one got sentenced to life. The other dude got 25 years. The other dude got, I don't know what the final number was, all to be run consecutive, but they didn't get a life sentence. She just gave her a life sentence. 23 years of life, 23 days of life. It don't matter. Once you get that life sentence behind you, it's all bad. She just gave her life. So, but she didn't really say what her role was in it. She said everything else the other two dudes that did, or part of what they did, or why she was sentencing them like that. But she didn't really specify or elaborate on why she was giving this lady here 23 years to life, particularly since that sentence is so different from the other two she just handed out. I'd like to know why, but let's see.
This applies again to all 3 defendants. Do you understand that you have a right to an appeal in this matter within 30 days after the filing of the court's sentencing entry? Do you understand that, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pope?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Do all of you understand that if you are unable to pay for the cost of a transcript, the record, and all relevant documents, strike that, and all relevant documents required for an appeal, they will be provided to you without cost? Do you understand, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pope?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Next, do you all understand that if you are unable to pay for an appeal, you are entitled to have a notice of appeal filed without the payment of a filing fee? Do you understand, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pope?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. And lastly, do you all understand that if you are unable to obtain counsel for an appeal, counsel will be appointed to represent you at no cost? Do you understand, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Pope?
Yes.
And Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
Fuck all that yes year stuff. Ain't no need to get nice with her now. She just smoked y'all. 25 years, 23 to life, and then whatever old boy got, 20 something, 30 years all together. All bad. But again, it looks like for the crimes that they are accused of, they got off pretty easy. Or at least the other two. Old girl got life. I mean, I wouldn't call that getting off easy. But the other two, I mean, yeah, sort of. Torture, kidnap, murder, yeah. But somehow they were charged with manslaughter, so she sentenced them according to that. So in some ways, they're lucky or blessed because Alicia Pointer, uh, she has a life sentence, the victim of in the grave. She's not coming back. So they got some comeback. They got some get back. She doesn't. So they were still blessed at the end of the day to get 25 years for this shit that I just heard, what they are accused of. You know, wow, that's deep. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.